Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Elson for Catholic Newsbreak. Here's what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from the Vatican. The first formal pre-conclave meeting took place on Monday at the Vatican. The Cardinals and all those assisting them took an oath of secrecy at the meeting. Although most of the Cardinals were there, some were not, so the actual date of the conclave was not determined. Rome Reports has more now from the Vatican.
One by one, Cardinals walked into the Vatican's Paul VI Hall to begin their general congregation meetings. It's a time for them to discuss the strengths and challenges of the Church, and also the profile the next Pope should have. Here in this meeting, they also took a vow of secrecy, promising to not disclose any details of their meetings or the conclave. The worldwide media waited for them outside the Vatican, but surrounded by journalists, cameras, and microphones, the Cardinals didn't say much.
Non ricordo più niente.
Come non ricordo niente?
Che atmosfera c'era?
È tutto cancellato.
Un ambiente di oración y de meditación.
Io dovrei parlare col silenzio.
No voy a decir nada. Adiós.
Gracias.
Discúlpenme.
Some cardinals are holding press conferences to discuss general matters of the Church, but no specifics. Today, a group of American cardinals talked about the conclave and by when they would like to elect the next pope.
The only outside limit that is in the back of all our minds, I think, is Holy Week. We'd like to be done before Holy Week starts and have a pope, and we go back to our dioceses. I'm sure all of us are thinking of that.
Out of the 115 cardinals who are eligible to vote in the coming conclave, 103 have arrived. The other 12 are expected to arrive by Monday afternoon or Tuesday.
Looking at news from around the country, in a 19-14 vote, February 28th, the Arkansas Senate voted to override Governor Mike Beebe's veto of a fetal pain bill. The move reaffirmed the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act and outlawed most abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy when medical evidence suggests that the unborn can feel pain. The state's House of Representatives, the day before the Senate's decision, voted 53-28 to overturn the veto. Pro-life activists are praising the passage of the measure, which was introduced by Republican Representative Andy Mayberry and became law immediately. Though the act provides exceptions in cases of rape, incest, or to save the mother's life, it does not include any exemption for fetal disorders. This move builds upon Arkansas's Unborn Child Pain Awareness and Prevention Act of 2005. That law requires doctors to review printed material discussing fetal pain at least 24 hours before an abortion is performed on women who are 20 weeks pregnant or more. The Arkansas Department of Health reported that just over 4,000 abortions occurred in the state in 2011, with 46 of them occurring at 20 weeks and only 2 occurring at 21 weeks or later. More news now from the Vatican. When the College of Cardinals entered the 2005 conclave, that would elect them, Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, to the papacy. Some members knew very little about one another. Cardinal Wilfred Napier, Archbishop of Durban, South Africa, shared with Catholic News Service why this time around the Cardinals are closer.
You see, one of the features, I think, of Pope Benedict's leadership was whenever there was a consistory or some other major function, invariably he would call the cardinals together for a meeting the day before. I feel, therefore, that with this conclave coming up, I've had far more exposure to the other cardinals than before the first conclave. Those first 4 years, I hardly knew anybody. It doesn't mean that I still don't have to look up on the Google and see who's this and who's that, but there is a better chance of knowing people now.
And finally in the news, a week ago, Cardinal Keith O'Brien, the retired Archbishop of St. Andrews in Edinburgh, denied allegations that he had made homosexual advances towards 3 priests and a former priest. Now the Scottish Cardinal is admitting to past acts of sexual misconduct and has issued a statement publicly acknowledging his failures. In the statement, the Cardinal said that his sexual conduct had fallen below the standards expected of him as a priest, archbishop, and a cardinal. The former president of the Bishops' Conference of Scotland stepped down February 25th after the British newspaper The Observer carried a story detailing the complaints of the 4 men. Cardinal O'Brien said he contested the accusations because of their anonymous and non-specific nature, but now he's apologizing and asking forgiveness from all those he has offended, as well as the Catholic Church and the people of Scotland. In his letter, he said he will play no further part in the Catholic Church of Scotland. Some of the allegations date back to when Cardinal O'Brien served as spiritual director to the seminarians of St. Andrew's College in Drygrange, Scotland between 1978 and 1980. At least one other was made after his appointment as Archbishop of St. Andrews in Edinburgh in 1985. Cardinal O'Brien's resignation means that Britain will not have a cardinal in the conclave. Archbishop Philip Tartaglia of Glasgow was recently appointed the Apostolic Administrator of the Archdiocese of St. Andrews in Edinburgh until a new archbishop is appointed. Well, that is all the information we have for you this time. Please stay with Catholic TV for more Catholic news. Until then, I'm Kevin Elson, and I'll see you next time on Catholic Newsbreak.